Hello and welcome to Chapter 4 out of 7 for the Learn to Ride a Skateboard Special Edition. Remember, you can watch this entire video for free on the internet, or you can go to learntorideaskateboard.com and download a copy of the DVD for free, or you can actually purchase a DVD and have that sent to you as well. Hope you enjoy it.
So this next piece talks about the basics of board control. Knowing how to turn the skateboard, knowing how to stop the skateboard, and knowing how to push. Now, one of the things that I didn't include in the original video was a piece on foot braking, which is like this, as Julie is going to do. You just come up and you slide and hold your foot, hold your foot down along the ground in order to stop. Now, we'll show you a little close-up of that and explain a little bit more on how to do proper foot braking.
Here we can see Julie giving a couple of demonstrations of proper foot braking technique.
You just got to make sure that when you're foot braking that you start like this with your heel up and kind of roll your foot forward. You know, don't start like that, because if you do, your foot can snag and then you could end up falling forward. So the foot braking is always heel first and then slowly like roll it down flat like that. So you don't stomp it down flat. You don't start on your toe. You start on your heel and roll it forward.
Here we can see Julie doing a slow motion version of the foot braking I just explained. She starts on her heel and slowly rolls her foot flat. So remember, this is braking, B-R-A-K-I-N-G, not B-R-E-A-K-I-N-G. So learn foot braking. It's a great way to slow down or stop a skateboard.
Now that you know the basics of keeping your balance on the board, one of the best ways to learn how to actually ride is to find a really slow, gradual hill. And just stand on the board with your standard foot position and start to go down the hill, like so.
Now, as you can see, I didn't even have to push. I just put my feet on the board and let gravity start to take me down the hill. And then as you go faster and faster, you just start to slowly lean and turn. And as you come back up the hill, of course, you'll start to slow down. And you just do that over and over a few times. Whenever you start to go too fast and it's freaking you out a little bit, just start to turn back up the hill again.
Obviously, that only shows you how to turn in the left-hand direction. So you also, after a couple times of repeating that, want to try it in the right-hand direction. Keep your knees bent, stay low with your arms out, and look to where you want to go. The more you look, that's where you're going to go.
So again, this is just a really, really great technique to learn how to ride, because you don't have to push. All you do is lean the board and turn up the hill to slow back down. And you can pick up as much speed as you want by continuing straight down the hill. You know, and then once you start to go too fast, you just turn back up. And keep doing it down one side of the hill, so you keep turning to the right, and then you start to turn to the left. And keep doing it that way. Now here, this is another technique that you might want to try, is after you start to come up the hill and you stop, don't even get off the board, just start to roll backwards and let gravity take you backwards back down the hill again.
And it just, again, it kind of gives you a feel for how to keep your balance. And the great thing is you have complete control over it, because all you have to do is turn up or down the hill in order to gain speed or lose speed. And you don't have to worry about pushing with your feet. You can just concentrate on keeping your balance.
Now, as you can see from the video, we were practicing this in an area of the parking lot that was completely unused, totally abandoned. We weren't in anybody's way. We were hundreds of feet away from any traffic. We were wearing all of our safety gear. We were being very careful and very cautious. But unfortunately, we were not able to do this sequence with our students because we got kicked out by security. And just remember, whenever you encounter security guards, always be courteous, always be polite, because remember, you get to skate all day, while they have to stay trapped in those stupid little SUVs.
Okay, so now you know how to ride and how to turn. Now you need to actually know how to get moving and how to stop. The most common way to start moving is by pushing. And by pushing, what you do is you put your lead foot right over the front truck bolts, and for when you start out, you're actually keeping your foot straight. You don't have it turned the way you do when you're riding. And you just keep your foot next to the board and give it a gentle push.
Once you get moving, then you want to turn your front foot at about a 45-degree angle like you normally would, maybe even a little bit more, and then get on your board with your back foot on your tail. Having your back foot on the tail will help you if you want to move your board around. Also too, it's really important when you are pushing that you don't have your pushing foot too far away from your skateboard. Otherwise you're going to be like out there, you're going to be all over the place, and you're going to fall because you don't have any stability. The closer your foot is to your skateboard and the more that you're just one unit, it'll be a nice fluid ride, and then you get on and go.
Okay, so now we're going to show pushing with the twins. All right, guys, give it a try. Oh, keep that back foot over the tail.
They're awesome. They've got it.
Okay, they're doing really good. Guys, let's try it another time. And this time, make sure that when you put your back foot on the board, you keep it on the tail, okay? Your front foot position is really good. Make sure your feet are just like that once you start riding, okay? All right, go for it.
They're doing great. They have a great sense of balance. They're pushing and just staying on the board.
All right, and now we will try pushing with Madeline.
All right, go for it.
That look of confidence.
Keep your knees
Now-
bent. That's really important.
Now, obviously, Madeline's having a much harder time, but that's okay. I mean, that's cool. And that's part of what this whole video is about. We want you to realize that this stuff isn't easy. I mean, even learning just how to push can be really difficult, and it can be hard to figure out how to keep your balance. So just be patient and stick with it, and try it again.
Yep. Remember to keep your knees really bent and stay low. Yeah. Good job.
Now, the most common way to start moving on the board is by pushing, but another way that you could start to move is a move called a tic-tac. Now, you notice that if you're just standing on your board with a normal foot position and you start to kind of just rock your weight back and forth, well, you start moving. By tic-tacking, what you do is you lean your weight onto the tail and do small little kick turns back and forth. And by shifting your rear foot's weight forward, you start to build up momentum, like this. And you can see that Holly is starting out, and she's not putting her feet down, she's not pushing, she's keeping her feet on the board the whole time. And yet, she's building up a lot of speed and a lot of momentum just by doing tic-tacs. So it's another great way to move on the board. Okay, now tic-tacs are a lot more difficult to do than pushing and things like that, so we don't really expect the kids to be able to do tic-tacs, but we're gonna try it. So go for it, guys. Try doing some tic-tacs. Lean your weight back. And Madeline is tic-tacking backwards, which is, I don't even know how to do that. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to have you teach me that later on.
So even though the boys are tic-tacking, you might wonder how come they're not going forward. You want to keep your weight on your back foot so that you can move your front foot back and forward, but you want to lean forward with your momentum. You know, as you're turning your shoulders, you're also leaning forward to where you want to go. So that's what gives you the momentum to go forward.
Actually, I think it's just the board. I think that's the problem.
It's the board.
Yeah.
It's not me, Eric.
That's right.
I'm perfect in every way. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, the final move that you need to know on your skateboard is how to stop. Now, it might seem like, well, shouldn't that be something you learn near the beginning? Well, no, actually. It's one of the last things you learn, simply because, as you could see from some of our demonstrations, you're never going to be building up enough speed to really have to know how to stop when you're first starting out. But once you get better and you start to be able to build up more speed, you have to figure out ways to stop. And there's really a few different ways that you can do it, and we'll be going through all those different ways. One way is a tail slide, and another way is just jumping off the board. Now, that might sound silly, it may sound like a joke, oh, just jumping off, but you would be surprised how many people forget that when you get into a bad situation sometimes, hey, you know, sometimes you can just jump off and you're not going to get hurt and you'll get out of harm's way. So let's show you some of the ways that you can stop a board.
There's lots of different ways to stop when you're on your skateboard moving. A really great way is simply to do a tail slide. As you're moving, lean back on your tail and just slide till you stop. There you go.
Now obviously our students were not gaining enough speed to be able to do tail slides yet, and that's okay, you know, that's cool. Once they gain more experience and they're ready to start doing tail slides, just make sure that you keep your weight really centered over that tail when you're dropping down, because if you don't, the board is just going to shoot out from underneath you. So that's the key to doing a tail slide, is keeping your balance really centered as you're sliding.
Now another way that you can stop on a skateboard is by doing something called a toe slide. I've actually never done one, but Holly does them all the time. You simply are riding along and you take your rear foot and drag your toe along. And that helps slow down your momentum and make you stop. And I screwed that up, so let's do it one more time.
Now pay really close attention to the position of Holly's legs as she's doing the toe slide. You notice that her weight is staying very centered over the board. That's really important. It's really essential to these kind of moves. Make sure your weight stays centered.
Okay, so now we learned a lot of the basics of how to ride. We learned how to turn, how to actually get riding, how to start, and how to stop on the board. And it's really important that you learn kind of all these basic little moves before you try to ride more challenging terrain.
So spend a little time on the grass or on your own carpet, and then you can go outside in front of your own house or find an area like this that's nice and flat and smooth for you to learn the basic skateboarding maneuvers on. Then we're going to go to a skateboard park and take it there.
In fact, we're going to have the kids practice for a week, and then we'll be taking them to the skate park after they've gotten a little bit more confident in all these basic kind of moves. Now, it's really important that you realize how difficult some of these really basic moves are, and we think that the kids help to illustrate that. So don't get frustrated if you're having a hard time picking some of this stuff up, because it's really not easy.
Yeah, but skateboarding's fun, so stick with it. Practice, and next time we're going to see you at the skate park.